Welcome back once again to Talking Water with SwitchWaterSupplier.com. I'm David Easton, and alongside me once again is Graham Mann from
Hi.
SwitchWaterSupplier.com.
Hello.
Once again, hello, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Looking forward to my holidays.
Are we
1.5
all?
weeks to go.
Is that all? Is that
Yeah.
all? I'm just back, and so I've got this wonderful tan all over.
Yes, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. So we're going to talk and answer some of your questions on this Talking Water, and specifically this section from Joanna at Carbon X Gen, who you know, Carbon X Gen. What do they do?
They're carbon cost reduction consultants, energy consultants. Primary focus is reducing energy and carbon, and as a part of that is they're reducing their clients' water charges, because reducing water consumption reduces the customer's carbon footprint. So,
Okay. So Joanna's got a couple of questions here, and I'm going to kind of talk through them in kind of the main themes that we've got. And one of them is about working with water suppliers and water providers. And that can be a very long, drawn-out affair, depending on what you're doing. So one of the points here is any advice on speeding up the installation of fiscal water meters. It seems to be very drawn out with providers, but also the queries in general can be very, very slow. How do you deal with water supply?
Well, Joanna, yeah, it's an interesting question. The things were better prior to deregulation 7 years ago in England, and it's more complicated now. But it does take us longer. The processes does take longer. The water retailers take longer, and the water wholesalers take longer. They blame each other, actually, but it's at the end of the day, it's the customer that suffers delays, as you probably experienced. But I suppose the best way to answer the question is probably have a chat with us, and we could help and make the applications on your behalf. The reason for this is we've got key contacts and written processes with each water retailer, and we also have the ability to talk to them on their technical level. It's far easier for us to deal with that type of work rather than a customer who doesn't know much about the water industry.
We've often spoken about you being a bit of a one-stop shop for people who've got issues with water suppliers, water providers in general, any business dealings with water, and that's what you're trying to do, isn't it? It's and you've got those capabilities that's been built up over so many years now.
Yeah, well, I've been in the water industry about just over 35 years now. Prior to deregulation, it was really I enjoyed working in the regulated market, but then it was deregulated. It was turned upside down. And a lot of things are taking, and processes in particular, skill sets have gone from a lot of the water industry. So we're having to use our knowledge and expertise to cut through the grey areas. And a lot of the time we work closely with the retailers on billing issues and other issues that they're not too au fait with. So they appreciate the fact that we impart a lot of our technical expertise and knowledge to them, so that they can handle queries better for their customers going forward. So it's a good relationship, really.
And you've got to have those relationships, haven't you, in business? A couple of questions on water supply and usage, I suppose. One is, why are some water supplies built on standard consumption usage? Does that mean that they're not metered?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure of the question there, Joanna. I'm assuming it might be they're on assessed option or some sort of fixed charge, estimated charges based on the number of employees at particular business premises. That could be the reason behind that is that they probably can't install a meter and paying for water by volume, as opposed to a fixed charge per annum. And that normally is a case of where you've got multi-occupied buildings, where there's maybe one or two more businesses in one building or one area, and it's difficult to install a meter to meter individual businesses and pay by volume. These things need to be assessed, so we deal with these on a regular basis, more so with landlords, with large office blocks in London, Glasgow and Edinburgh, where there's various businesses in the building, and then we look at the most efficient way of installing a meter and then passing on the metered water charges to each individual tenant. It's all doable. As long as there's pipes in the building, we can meter individual buildings. So again, it's specialised work, but we're well clued up with that type of thing. So yeah, if you want looking at coming off fixed charge, firstly do a comparison of what they're paying at the moment and what they could be paying via a volumetric charge. Do the comparison first. If it saves them money, then do it. If it doesn't, then don't bother.
Exactly, because sometimes water meters can. I mean, obviously, that all the water goes through, is all then paid for. Yeah. Again, another question from Joanna about this is about regarding those kind of smart water meters. They can be not very, very easily accessible, but that doesn't really matter, does it? Because they should be able to be read remotely.
Yeah, it's another interesting question, Joanna. It's a big issue in the water market per se. A lot of meters are in car parks or in pavements, and there could be a vehicle parked over the top of it, or it might be extremely heavy and too difficult to lift, or the lid might be rusted in and not be accessible. And I've lifted lids on meters, and it's been full of water. so I carry a pump in the back of my car, and I do actually go out in the field. So I keep my
literally in a field.
Yeah, I mean. I've been in many fields. Well, the best way to deal with that one, Joanna, is to apply for a water flow data logger or an automatic meter reading device, which will provide you with meter readings and crucial water flow data straight through to the customer's desktop. That's the most efficient way. So it doesn't matter if you've got no access to the meter whatsoever, you've still got readings and you've still got access to the consumption. But if the lid is ever jammed and you can't get access to it, then you should get in touch with your retailer and say that your customer is unable to read the meter because they can't lift the lid. And customers do have the legal right to be able to gain access to their meter, and they'll come out and free the lid and make it good for you. But to get for the future, future-proof it, get yourself a water flow data log or AMR installed, and that'll give you readings and access to your water consumption, which will contribute to controlling your water efficiency and water use and help drive down your customers' consumption.
Which brings us back to a final question regarding standing charges and fixed charges. We all have to pay them at home. They don't seem to make any sense to me, but certainly to the businesses, they add them on. So why are they adding them on, and how do we reduce them?
Right. Okay. Now there's two standing charges. We'll deal with the first one. The standing charges in the water industry relate to the size of your meter. So the larger your pipe size, the larger your meter, the larger the standing charge. So the standing charges are split for a standing charge for water, according to the meter size, and a standing charge for wastewater, according to the meter size. The larger your meter, the larger your standing charge. Now, you can reduce your standing charges by resizing the meter. So if, for example, you're using a minimum amount of water and you have a large size pipe, and the company concerned is using less water than it did, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they've still got a large size meter installed, you can apply for a meter downsize and sometimes reduce the meter standing charges by up to 50-60%. There is some consultancy work involved with that. Again, it's work that we do regularly undertake for customers. We do the feasibility study first to see, based on the consumption they're using. We resize the meter on a desktop basis and then provide you with a report on potential downsizing. If it's something the customer wants to do, then we have to install, again, a water flow data logger to get a water profile to give us average daily use, resize it to the manufacturer's peak flow rate of the meter, and then if it's suitable, then we send that data off to the water retailer and request a meter downsize, and then it's up to the water retailer to pass it to the wholesaler, who will then come back and approve it or disapprove it, as the case may be.
So there are ways to save.
Yeah, absolutely.
Money.
Well, you're talking about 50-60% reductions in standing charges, and with paybacks of less than 12, 18 months. So it's worth doing, because water, we said it again, water charges are on the up, and we're predicting 25 to 91% over the next 5 years. So it's a good, interesting way of reducing your consumption costs.
25 to 91%. So there's the spread.
Well,
a few numbers there for you to work on, but alarming numbers.
They are, yeah. There's gone are the days I think we've done a piece on that.
Gone are those days of water charges not being rising on a regular basis. Final one from Joanna, I'm going to put to you. So what can our clients put in place to reduce wastewater? Obviously, you're going to pay for the water coming in and pay for the water going out. How do you reduce the wastewater charges?
Right. The wastewater charges are linked directly to the water input. So the more water you use through your meter, the more volume you're discharging as wastewater. So the trick or the key to that is to apply water management and water efficiency projects to your customers and look at ways of reducing the consumption. Less water means less water in, means less water out, and the appropriate reduction. So you're reducing your water costs in, and you're reducing your wastewater charges out. As an average, wastewater charges are 3, maybe 4 times more than the water in. So it makes good sense to do that. On average, I'll give you an averages. I'm full of averages, but over the years, we could say with a high degree of confidence that if you apply water efficiency techniques and look at reducing consumption, then you can make savings anything between 20 and 40%, with paybacks of under 12, 18 months. So.
And one thing that we've mentioned before as well, if you're getting water from something like a borehole on your site, you're not opening that tap to the water coming in from the companies, then you can save money that way on water coming in, but also you can save water going out, depending on your business and how you might use water.
Yeah, if you've got a borehole, you're off-grid water supplies. I know we're talking a lot about off-grid water supplies in the social media and on LinkedIn. There's huge potential for businesses that are on medium and large users to apply for their own alternative water or go off-grid. Which means drilling for your own water. A lot of the water that is collected and put into reservoirs is actually from deep, very large boreholes. In some areas of the country, I think it's Portsmouth Water, get nearly 100% of their water from boreholes. So you're only tapping into aquifers. And there's huge potential for businesses across the country to go off-grid. We'll talk about that another day, and perhaps individual customers would have some questions on off-grid water supplies, and they can submit them to us, and we can cover it as one topic. But yeah, if you've got your own water supply or a borehole, you have to have it metered, and you have to provide those metered volumes that you abstract to the Environment Agency as a part of the abstraction agreement. You then should have to pass those meter readings and the volume that you've used over periods to your water supplier, who will then charge you for the wastewater discharge if in fact it's gone down the drain. So you do reduce your water in, but if you use the water and discharge it to drain, you're still liable for wastewater charges.
Very good. And all of these possibilities, all of these things we've been talking about, can be dealt with through switchwatersupplier.com and through Graham here. He's the man. He's the middleman. He's the man. That's what they call him. He's Graham Mann. That's how it works. Switchwatersupplier.com is your one-stop shop for all of these issues, and hopefully they can save you some money too in your business. We'll be back with more Talking Water very soon.